The death of animals has never been received or treated like the death of a human being. However, we take you to an animal cemetery where pet owners take their animals and accord them decent send-offs. Famous dogs like Mukombozi that rescued a baby dumped in a forest have been laid there. Our reporter Daniel Karuki takes us to an organization that collects, treats and cares for stray animals.
In an ordinary city, the sight of stray dogs and cats is not foreign. We visit Kenya Society for the Protection and Care of Animals, KSPCA, an animal welfare charity in Kenya that collects and shelters domestic animals and even accords them decent funeral services upon their deaths.
Okay, so welcome to the KSPCA. I'm Ian Keringa, and the KSPCA basically stands for the Kenya Society for the Protection and Care of Animals. Society designed and with the mandate to look after the welfare of most domestic animals, but we also do some few of other animals in partnership with other agencies. The KSPCA was started in 1910, so it's 110 years old, and it was started by a few people who, while they were moving around, they saw an oxen that was carrying a lot of goods, and the oxen seemed to be in really much distress. So they decided to come together and start an organization that at least cares for the animals. At that time, it was known as the East African Society for the Prevention of Cruelty, which later changed to the Kenya Society for the Prevention of Cruelty against Animals. Within some cultures, we'll say cats are evil spirits. See some of the sayings in the local dialects, like Swahili, you find for donkeys, they'll say, "Asanti ya punda ni mateke." Yeah. So you find there's a cultural belief that has led to these animals being neglected.
Upon the collection of an animal, it goes through the clinic, then put in a recovery unit before it's let to interact with other animals.
Recovery unit where after the animals have been treated by the vet, they come to recover before rejoining the rest of the animals within the shelter. We'll pick the dog, treat them. If we feel that the dog is still safe to go back to the same location, we take the dog back. If we feel the dog is worth to be rehabilitated and find another home, we'll keep the dog, rehabilitate the dog, neuter the dog, vaccinate the dog, and then try and find a new home for the dog.
How many dogs do you have here, and how much does it cost to feed all these dogs?
On an average, we have around 140 to 160 dogs. That is usually the range which we have, 140 to 160 dogs. And the cost of feeding the dogs is one of our major challenges, because we spend around 200,000 to feed the dogs in a month. Anyone can adopt a dog, but as I said, just as for cats, once you come into the shelter and you're looking to adopt an animal, there's a questionnaire that you have to fill, which helps us basically understand whether you're able to take care of the dog or cat. So once you fill the questionnaire and you feel that you're able, then we go around and we look at the dogs that are available, and we also help you match a dog depending on where you're taking the dog. For example, if you're taking a big dog, there's no way you're going to take that dog to an apartment. That dog needs a big compound where it's going to be able to move around. So we always try and educate the person also adopting, and try to explain to them why they should adopt a certain dog and maybe not adopt another one.
So like, how much is a big dog?
Any dog for adoption at the KSPCA is 8,000 shillings. Regardless of the breed, regardless of the size, it's 8,000. And basically the 8,000 is not actually a charge. It's actually a basic donation so that we can be able to take care of them, feed them, vaccinate the dog you're adopting, and also neuter the dog you're adopting.
We then walked to the donkey shelter, one of the most mistreated animals.
Oh, really? So run a donkey welfare program. Basically we educate the communities on proper care of donkeys. that is on harness making, cart designs, and how to work with the donkeys.
The graveyard. The chills will definitely go down your spine. Death will be the first thought that will struck your mind. But in this case, it's not human death.
It's a graveyard where people used to bury. We stopped it in 2019. We used to bury pets. Anyone from outside will come and pay a small fee and bury the dog. The reason for that was because for us, we believe that when you have an animal is part of the family. And every care that you give that animal should be similar to what you will give to a human being who is a member of the family. So the same way that we give our loved one in the homes a send-off, a proper send-off, so we also advocate for people to love their pets and be able to give them a proper send-off like they will send human beings. It's hundreds, and as you can see from the grave, from the stones, several of the dogs have been buried. And as I said, it was started because we got requests from people who wanted to bury their pets.
In this very graveyard where famous dogs, including military dogs, are laid to rest, including Mkombozi, the dog that came into the limelight in May 2005 after she rescued a newborn baby girl who was abandoned in the thickets of Ngong Forest. The dog had then been foraging for food for her young ones. It is here at this animal kingdom that our journey comes to an end. Here at this graveyard where the owners chose to give any pet a decent send-off to owners who chose to treat their animals as one of theirs, including the famous Mukombozi, the dog that saved a kid from a forest. Daniel Karuki for Switch TV.